Welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast, session 36. What the heck is this Google Plus all about? Welcome, everybody, to the 36th edition of the Sales Whisperer Podcast. I am your host, Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, and hallelujah, praise the Lord. My second book is done. It's back from the printer in its final edition, and you can get a free sample. We're giving away 14 stories of the 79 stories. You can visit 79stories.info. That's the number 79, 79stories.info. And the book is, It Takes More Than a Big Smile, a Good Idea, and a Twitter Account to Build a Business That Lasts. So please go check that out. I think you will like what you see. And when you get there, you will see the subtitle. So the title wasn't long enough, so we had to make it even more illustrative, shall we say. So it's 79 stories on selling with integrity, automating your marketing, and living abundantly. So you can get a free sample there, that page, or hey, scroll down, you'll see the buy now button. Go ahead and buy it. It's $14.95. Omari Broussard is a friend of mine, owns 10X Defense, and I did not ask him for this, but he wrote back and said, one word, profound. This book has done more than you know for me right now. And that was just, a couple of weeks ago, he sent that back to me, and I was able to get it on the cover for the final version. So $14.95, 79stories.info. So today we've got Rebekah Radice. She is a social media expert. She's been in marketing nearly 20 years. I think it's about 18 years now. And one thing I asked her to focus on is Google Plus, because that is still a lot of debate as to how good and effective that really is. But I think we can all agree Google is not going anywhere anytime soon. The NSA knows what we're up to, and probably thanks to Google, they know what we're up to. So look, Google is search, right? They own YouTube. I'm surprised how many people don't know that. They own YouTube. So the number one and number two search engines in the world are Google and YouTube. And now they're coming out with communities. And I tell you, Rebekah and I get into this. I've really been turned off with Facebook lately and seeing what they're doing. They have to monetize the site, okay? But I've seen numbers that as low as 2.3% or something like that, 3.5% of people that like your page will actually see your updates on your Facebook fan page unless you do a promoted post. So they're really angling to get your money. Google makes money through search. So they can offer things like Google Plus, communities. You sort people and segment everyone through circles, and now you have Google Hangouts for free videos and conference calls, and those can go straight to YouTube. So very seamlessly, right? You can curate content and disseminate it. So Google Plus is definitely something worth looking at. And honestly, I prefer the interface on my iPhone. So I'm starting to do more with Google Plus. It's not a habit yet. It's the chicken and the egg. The friends and fans and followers and whatnot are congregating on Facebook. So it's like I want to keep up with folks, but I also want to begin the migration and transition. But you got to begin sometime. And I did my best to pull some data out of Rebekah. I love it when the interviewee says, "Ooh, that's a great question," and she says that several times. So without further ado, here is the interview. Hey, that rhymed. Rebekah Radice, welcome to the Sales Whisperer Podcast. How are you?
I am terrific. Thanks so much for having me on, Wes.
All right. So before people get to know who you are, I have a very important question for you. You ready?
I am ready.
All right. So I got this hodgepodge of chocolates, and I just ate this dark chocolate, and I'm not a big fan of dark chocolate. So do you chase a dark chocolate with a crackle or a Reese's or a Twix?
Ooh, that's tough. I am a huge Twix fan, but I'm a bigger peanut butter fan, so I'd have to go with the Reese's.
Oh, I knew I liked you. You can never go wrong with Reese's.
Never. Chocolate and peanut butter, perfect marriage.
All right. All right, very nice. So, hey, I've got some info on you on the site, but if you could give our listeners a quick thumbnail sketch of who you are, what makes you tick, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a social media strategist, basically work with businesses, with entrepreneurs to transition an established offline reputation into online currency. And what that means is I work to take all of that magic, those amazing things about you and your business, and translate them onto your social media channels, through your website, through your blog, and really help you monetize everything that's available to you online. So whether, like I said, it's content marketing and utilizing fresh content, which Google loves, or using Facebook or Google Plus or Twitter, really helping you integrate those into your overall marketing plan. And like I said, actually make some money off of it in 2014.
What?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right?
Make money through social media? Really?
It's true. It's true. You definitely can. You just have to have a plan.
All right. So are there any type of businesses that social media doesn't work with?
Oh, no, definitely not. You know, whether you're a big brand down to a local company, even just a mom and pop, there are definitely social media strategies that can work. There's certainly different ways of positioning that content or positioning your business. But for the most part, there is always a strategy that will work or fit with your business.
So how did you get started? How did you make this transition into social media strategists?
Well, you know, marketing is my background. I've been in the marketing world and online marketing for almost 20 years. And it was a natural progression for me. My love is content marketing. I'm a writer, a blogger, and I saw social media as just this enormous opportunity to really spread your message, to get your message in front of a whole new group of people and a much larger group of people. So for me, it just made sense. And I dipped my toe into it for me personally, and then started doing it for clients probably about 7 years ago as far as social media is concerned, and then moved into the corporate world for a brief time for a few years, and actually managed social media at the corporate level, at the brand level, and really, really enjoyed that. It was exciting to see the difference between a brand strategy and, like I said, just that mom and pop or local business out there that is struggling to use social media. And for as much as I think people really think there's a difference, there's definitely a method to the social media madness, and that is something I love. I really love to help people put those pieces of that social media puzzle together. So like I said, it was a natural progression for me to move into it, and then to really help people figure out how to wrap their head around it and really understand that there is a way, as I said, to monetize it.
All right. So one of the things we had spoken about before this was getting down to some nitty-gritty on Google Plus, because you do a good bit of work there, and there are as many opinions on Google Plus as there are people with opinions. So that's a lot. But you're making it work, right? What can you tell us about Google Plus? Because I've kind of dipped my toe in that water. Funny thing is, I find that the user interface, certainly on mobile, to be much friendlier and attractive than Facebook. I feel like Facebook is nothing but ads anymore. And then with the changes they've made, you got to do promoted posts. Otherwise, like 2.5%, 3% of your followers or likers are seeing your stuff, even though they want to see it. So it seems like now's a good time to look a little closer at Google Plus.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. It's been interesting to see all of the changes that have taken place, both with Facebook and with Google+. But I am a huge proponent of an integrated social media strategy. So really leveraging all that's available to you, from Google+, to Facebook, to Twitter, to Pinterest, just depending on the industry and the niche. It's really going to depend on which ones are going to work best for you. But Facebook, there's been a lot of controversy around all of their changes to organic reach. And a lot of social media managers, a lot of owners of Facebook pages, very frustrated over the fact that they're not getting seen. They're not getting found as much on Facebook these days as they were maybe just a month or two ago. So what's happening is a lot of people are saying, unless I pay for Facebook ads, there's a good possibility my posts are never going to get seen by the people that I've worked so hard to make fans, to move over to my page. So, maybe now is the time to branch out a little bit over into Google+. And to that, I would say, absolutely. There is just so many benefits to a Google+ strategy. As you know, Wes, you're so active online. Google+ is Google. And Google is search, and people are out there searching for us every single day. So the two just go hand in hand, no matter the size, no matter your niche of your business. You definitely, if you're online, you want to get found, and you want to get found by the exact people that are looking to buy your product or your service. And Google Plus just really helps you amplify your message. It speaks, obviously, to Google search. So between Google Plus, Google as a search engine, and then Google Plus Local, you have this enormous opportunity to utilize all three of those to get found, as I said, and to do it in a far more substantial way than I believe Facebook ever gave us the opportunity to do. So, I say don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You still want to stick with Facebook, especially if you're already there. But it really makes sense to take a look at Google Plus and figure out, is your target market over there, and how can you find them? How can you get in front of them? And how can you give them that content that they're craving every single day?
So who are you seeing that's doing Google Plus right?
That's a great question. Are you talking about from a business perspective or a brand perspective?
Hey, I asked the questions here. All right.
All right.
Most of my listeners are smaller businesses. So, we can always reference a big brand if they want to see like a great example of, artwork or something, logos. But, I like to give kind of rubber meets the road tips. So, if you know of a smaller business that's doing things maybe on a shoestring budget or, without the $1 billion budget of a Fortune 50 company, that would be great.
Yeah, and I think that makes complete sense because truthfully, the reason I asked the question is most brands still are not doing a very good job with Google Plus. For whatever reason, I don't think they've paid a whole lot of attention and made the move over there. I worked with the Better Homes and Gardens for 2 years, and I can tell you while they have a substantial presence on Facebook and on Pinterest and now definitely Instagram, Google Plus they've been very slow to make the move over there. So, it's tough to really identify a big brand. As far as I'm trying to think off the top of my head, as far as local businesses, I'm so heavily, enmeshed in the both the technology, social media sectors, but also the real estate vertical. I work very, very closely with realtors, and I would tell you that Coldwell Banker Remax on a local level here in the LA area. Keller Williams is doing an excellent job, Keller Williams Beverly Hills. And it's interesting to see what an enormous move the real estate industry has made, a move they have made from Facebook over to Google Plus on a local level. And that is both from a company standpoint as well as just that, everyday business professional entrepreneur. And I think the big reason is back to what I was talking about initially. They were feeling stifled in their ability to reach their potential customer. And of course, their customer is anybody that's looking to buy or sell a home. And so they were really having a tough time engaging those people on Facebook, whereas they're finding it much easier. And a tip I would provide to those local businesses, which has worked really, really well in the real estate industry, is joining communities over on Google Plus. And Google Plus communities are very similar to pages over on Facebook, where they're just communities of like-minded professionals or like-minded people that are sharing or enjoy the same type of content. So think of them as categories. So whether you're a DIY enthusiast and absolutely love doing everything yourself, or you're a business that you just opened up a local, I'm trying to think what the name of, one of those mailboxes, et cetera, or something similar to that. No matter the type of industry, there are communities focused around that. So all you have to do is get into Google Plus and do a search, just like a search bar within Google, to sticking your keywords. So DIY or mail or real estate or social media, whatever your interest is, there are going to be communities that are centered around that. And the benefit to those is they're searchable. The content is public for the most part. Some of them are not, but the ones that you're going to find and want to get interactive in are going to be public, and you can just dive right in and start building relationships with people. You can hear what people are talking about. So for those business professionals that are looking to use Google Plus, it's a great way to listen and really understand what are the challenges, what are the fears, what are the concerns that people are dealing with on a daily basis, and then take those and translate those into blog posts or into videos or podcasts like you're doing here, Wes, where you can really speak to the needs of your exact consumer. So Google Plus, just like Google, is a great way to search, to identify, to connect with those people that are talking about the same thing you are, speaking your language, and really gives you some great insight, but also dependent on your type of business, gives you some great referral sources. So they could be across the country, but if they've got somebody, and I'll go back to the real estate industry. Let's say that, there's somebody in New York that's looking to buy an investment property here in California, which is where I am. They could refer that person via one of those communities and let you know that they've got a potential client coming your way. So, there's just lots of different ways to use it, but probably the best way is similar to any other social network, which is just consistently putting out some great content that's centered around your industry or niche, and talking about those things that your potential clients are talking about every day, and really positioning yourself as that go-to professional. Making sure that they know who you are, what you do, what you love, what you're passionate about, and how you can serve their needs. As you know, it's all about staying top of mind, and Google Plus gives you just one more opportunity to do that.
All right, so I'm logged in here to Google Plus. I'm looking around. I see people's birthdays, people I may know. communities. Where do I find that? Under the home, over on the left, right?
Yeah, exactly. If you hover over.
Underneath the logo or your logo, whatever you have.
Exactly. Yep. And if you scroll down, you'll see communities, and you would just simply click on that. And within there, it's going to bring up either some invitations you have, yep. Or communities if you're a moderator, which means you're actually an admin, very similar to being an admin on a Facebook page. Communities you've joined, so you can come here and see what you've joined, or you can discover communities down below that, or at the top if you're just getting started. And based off of your profile, based off of your bio and the information you've put in there, Google is going to do a little research on your behalf and say, it looks like you talk about XYZ. So based off of that, here are some communities we think you might be interested in. So it should pull up some communities that you may or may not have some interest in. But what you can do is up in the upper right-hand corner, yep. You've got a blue button that says Create Community, or right next to that, you can search for communities. And that's where I was saying, type in your keyword, whatever it is that you're looking for, whether it's, just something you enjoy doing in your spare time. So book reading, if you're into technology, if you're a swimmer, you love to work out, health and fitness, whatever it might be, you can just type that right in there. I guarantee there's going to be a community of people, and probably a ton of different communities that are talking about that exact topic. And so then you can just do your research, start to figure out how many members are in there, how active are they, is it quality content that people are sharing? Because just like any other, community, say a Facebook page, you're going to see spam. And so you just want to make sure that you're joining a community that you're really going to benefit from and not have to wade through a lot of spam or content that's just worthless and not worth your time. So it's a good place to start.
So yours is closing the Google Plus gap?
Correct.
Mm-hmm. I've been using Google to look you up.
Nice. I love it.
You better watch out.
No, that's exactly what I want you to do.
So when should someone create their own community?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think what happened with Facebook pages is, or rather Facebook groups, is people got really excited, kind of drunk the Kool-Aid, thought that it was the absolute best thing, greatest thing that had ever happened, and they had to do it. And the truth is they can be excellent in connecting with people, in really locating your potential clients, but they can also be an enormous time suck. Right. You can spend an awful lot of time monitoring, managing, and adding content to these pages with no real benefit. So I would say don't start there. Start with just a profile. If it's your business page, start there, and really start to build up some connections, a following, get really interactive. So start to find people that are talking about the same thing. Start to comment, start to +1. It's all the same as Facebook, where you just want to start building those connections. And then once you've done that, if you find that there's a real need, a real hunger for your particular topic, and you've done your research, you've done your homework, there's not a lot of people that are spending their time talking about your particular topic, then by all means, start a community, start promoting your community, start to talk about it, drive people over there. But it's definitely not the first thing I would do, because if you're just getting started on Google Plus, you're just starting to post some content, it's going to get overwhelming really, really fast to try to manage a community on top of it.
Right, because you talk about your background, having a background in writing, and I don't mind writing either, but most people hate it. So how can business owners manage their own social media profiles, even just a regular website and their normal marketing? How are there shortcuts they can use either on Google Plus, just through Google, to find content, to create the content, to drive them back to their own sites, to build a following and actually make a sale?
Well, and so you're talking about either generating your own content or curating content, and communities are great for that because if you find, and I'll just use a social media community, I join social media communities so that I can do exactly that. I can find great social media professionals talking about the same stuff I am and writing about the same stuff I am that I can share either on Google Plus or maybe on Twitter. So those are great places to start to find content. And it's just like Facebook where you can just go ahead and either share that content or you can take it, take that link, copy it, paste it right there into your status and share that on Google Plus. Or if you do have your own website, you have your own blog, then doing the same exact thing. So making sure that you're posting it on a consistent basis, using hashtags. That is a big opportunity that, is just really starting to catch steam over on Facebook, but has been around since the inception of Google Plus. So identify what your keywords are, what people are talking about in and around your business, and then use those keywords, which are hashtags, that are searchable keyword terms or phrases that allow people to look up your content based off of that keyword. So, for example, social media is a keyword and also a hashtag that is highly searchable and would bring up a ton of content of people talking about social media. So anything you can think of that would be around that topic. So make sure you're sharing your own content, make sure you're sharing other people's content, and then make sure you're using those hashtags so people can actually find you.
All right. So let's talk about a couple other things while we're on this little Google subject. And one is Picasa, the photo sharing, which I've not used very much. But I got excited when I heard Flickr, is owned by Yahoo. They give you a terabyte of free storage. So that's a lot of pictures you can put up there. But let's talk about the photo sharing side of things and then jump into Google Hangouts.
So what exactly or specifically do you want to talk about as far as images?
Are you using it? Do you recommend it? Because, I've got so many things plugged in, especially like Dropbox, right? I plug my iPhone into my computer and it says Dropbox wants to store my images. So I've got, 100 gig business account. So, that's okay. But heck, I'm 60, 70% full on that. Should I start throwing pictures up online? Do you recommend it to do it personally? Do you create like a private folder and then drip out public images? And there's just so many things, right? Is there a picture strategy for social media you recommend?
That's another great question. I personally do not use Picasa, but there are so many different, like you said, Flickr. There's just so many different social networks or image social networks out there, and I think what it comes down to is what works best for you. What are you using now? I like you. I use Dropbox. I use Evernote if you're familiar with that. And so if you've got your own images that you're taking that you want to share, that is a really nice feature with Google Plus that you can actually set it up to sync with your mobile device. So every time you take a picture, whether you have an Android or an iPhone, it will automatically sync all of your images, and then they're just sitting there and waiting for you. So when you log into Google Plus, you can choose one or two or all at the same time. I wouldn't suggest that, but you can just quickly and easily go in, see all of your images, choose one of those images, write, some context around that image. What's it about? Where were you when it was taken? And then share that. So for example, if you're a local business and let's say you're a dry cleaner, and you are trying to show, examples of the type of work you do, the quality, maybe what chemicals you use, what chemicals you don't use. You could take pictures throughout your day. You could take pictures of your consumers, maybe happy people that came in, and all of that you could automatically sync over to Google Plus just through your mobile device, and just start posting those pictures to give people some unique insight, a unique look into your business, what goes on day to day. And it really heightens awareness around what you have to offer, what you do for your potential clients. Maybe you're the only dry cleaner in town that's open 24 hours a day. Of course, I'm right outside of Hollywood, so that is a big deal here. Actors, actresses are always looking for that. So I know it's kind of a funny thing you wouldn't normally think about, but I have one right across the street. And so what is it? What is unique about your business that others may not do? You really want to make sure you highlight that, and pictures can do a really good job talking for you. And people love to just get to know you a little bit better, a little bit more personally, and pictures definitely do that too. So I don't know that answered your question, but there are ways that you can kind of simplify the process, like I said, where you can set it up where it automatically syncs, and no, it will not auto post on your behalf. It just has them ready and waiting there for you, so that when you log in, you can choose to, share one or not choose any at all, or post any at all. Yeah,
because I'm looking here. I guess it's not called Picasa anymore. It's just photos.
Okay.
And I see that I've got, I don't know, I'm about to play with it, because I see a lot of images up here from my camera, from my iPhone, but I don't know. I don't know which ones are published and which ones aren't. Where do you look? Do you know off the top of your head?
On Google Plus, you would just be able to see them. It'll actually come up, first of all, as a notification. So up at the top, it looks like a bell, and you'll have a red number in there. That's your notifications, similar to your notifications on Facebook. And it will tell you 30 new images were added. Do you want to share any of these? And you can click on that, and it'll pull up all of your images, and that's where I was saying you could just choose to share one of those. Or if you're on your profile, right on your profile page at the top, you have About, Posts, Photos. If you click on Photos, there's photos of you, photos that you shared, and then also your photos that have been pulled in from your mobile device that are ready and waiting there for you.
Yeah, so I'm looking at all these pictures, and I know distinctly some that I published and shared, but I'm wondering how many others. I just can't tell in looking at this, 7, 8 pictures in a row, and all these different columns.
Do they have dates next to them? Because if they have a date next to them, and then you can also see if they have any plus ones or comments right there on them.
Right.
But yeah, it can be a little tough to tell. You may have to go through some of them to see if they were actually shared.
So be very careful what pictures you have on your iPhone and Android before you connect it to Google.
Yes, indeed. Well, and like I said, you always want to make sure that you have full control over what's going out onto your social media sites, so that they're just pulling them in. It makes it easier for you, and then you have the choice as far as what you want to actually share.
Right. Very cool. So what do you do on a regular basis to hit your goals? Any particular books you're reading now, or what's your success strategy?
Well, yes, reading is always a huge part of what I do. And I'm circling back around right now. I don't know if you have read any of Likeable Social Media, Dave Kirpin's books, but I'm rereading Likeable Social Media. An excellent book. If anybody has not read that, I would highly recommend that. It really talks about strategy. So strategy for any social network, and it kind of peels back the onion, I would say, in exposing how to create a sustainable and a successful social media strategy. So if your goal this year is to put steps in place to be on Facebook, to be on Google+, that's an excellent book. I also just picked up Jay Baer's Utility. I just got started with that, so yep. I can't give you too many details about it, but I love everything that Jay Baer does, so I'm sure that I will enjoy it. But yes, I am an avid reader. I am an avid podcast listener. I consider myself an educational and just knowledge junkie or sponge. I love to listen. I work out daily, and so that's all I do is listen to podcasts when I'm working out. My husband says, "Whoa, slow down. You are so exciting. Most of us are listening to music and you're listening to podcasts." I'm like,
I don't know. I listen to podcasts and audiobooks.
See? Okay. Thank you. At least there's somebody else out there like me, but I love finding podcasts, with it just, there's so many out there, for me in my industries, Pat Flynn's Smart Passive Income. I don't know if you've listened to that one.
Yep.
Absolutely love that. Entrepreneur on Fire, another fantastic one. So
that's
just
funny. I'm seeing those guys for lunch tomorrow.
Are you really? Well, you can tell them how much I love their podcast. But there's just so many great ways to keep yourself plugged in to your industry. No pun intended, but, just really stay cutting edge and on top of all of the changes that are happening. And then for me, it's also, working alongside people that really push me creatively, force me to stretch. I just love that opportunity every single day to feel as if I'm being encouraged to be that better version of myself, and really step outside, try new things. I'm definitely not somebody who's afraid to ever try something at least once. Like I said, I work with people every day that challenge me to do that. So I think people that hold you accountable are also super, super important, whether it's a mentor, a coach, or just team members. I think it's critical to hitting those goals, as you said, to make sure that you've got those people that you're accountable to that help you reach those goals.
You know what? I almost forgot. Hangouts. What's the deal? You want to do this podcast on Hangouts, and I mean, my process that I've learned is using a tool over Skype. But what's the quick version of Google Hangouts?
Sure. Hangouts you can think about them as your ability to have your own TV show. So similar to audio and podcasts, Google Hangouts just put a face with a voice and allow people to see you. Very similar to a webinar where you just run them. People can show up, they can watch you, but the beauty is they're tied into YouTube. So you can actually record them and make them available. They'll stream live to your YouTube account, but then they're also recorded. So you can use those, for promotional reasons, in a blog post, in any way you can think of. And just another great way to allow people to connect with you, get to know you on a very different level. But you can use them in a million different ways. You could use them privately with maybe a one-on-one with a client. And then, as I was talking about, you could also use them for a webinar where people are really, really taking advantage percentage of them is maybe moving away from a WebEx or a GoToWebinar and using them within their business to reach, a pretty critical mass there on Google Plus in the same exact way. So you could use them to just talk. You could use them to do, a PowerPoint presentation, whatever information you're looking to share. But then you have the ability to create an event, which is very similar to an event on Facebook, to promote that event, promote that hangout, and then to record it and then share it at a later date. So they're really they're an exciting opportunity, and it's really exciting to me to see there's this big shift in 2014 where I think businesses are finally the light bulb is going off and they're really getting the power behind them.
Well, how's the quality? Because it seems so in the times I've worked with them.
Yeah, and the quality is there. It all depends on the person using them. It all depends on the system you're using, so your camera. It depends on your lighting. There's just so many things that play into it. So if you're committed to it, you want to invest. You want to make sure you've got, quality lighting, you've got a quality camera, your audio is top notch, because as you know as well as I do, especially with how many podcasts we listen to, it's just a shame. I will find podcasts and I know it's great content because I love their blog and I love who they're interviewing, but the audio quality is just horrendous and I can't stand listening. And so it's the same way with Hangouts, where you could have the greatest content in the world, but if your audio, your visual aren't top notch, people are not going to show up and they're not going to stick around. So, from a Google standpoint, it's all there and available. You've just got to do your part to make sure, everything's taken care of on your end.
So some things I know that people are afraid of is throwing a party and nobody attends. Using GoToWebinar and what have you, if nobody's there, you can just cancel the webinar, right? Or you can record it anyway, have some fake questions, and have some content there. And, people are surprised. I tell them that's happened to me more times than I'd like to count, going back 8 years. They think, everything's just big, right? Because they see me or meet me somewhere. But it's like, no. But on Google Plus, on Hangouts, obviously you're doing something. You can see those 10 people, right? There's 10 that can be live or have their picture on the screen. How do you coach somebody through that? Do it anyway, right? Or just to just kind of put the pressure on them to maybe set the date farther out and promote a little harder to make sure they at least get a handful of people on that event.
Well, and yes and no, because you can actually do it just like a webinar on GoToWebinar, where it's just you on the screen. It's just you that's actually presenting. Everybody else is just a viewer. So they don't see how many people are logged in or on. They don't see how many people are watching. Only you do. So you could run it just like you would any other webinar. If nobody shows up, you still do it and you still present just as if there are people there. You've got all your questions set. You're answering those questions. So truth be told, you could do it the same exact way. But yes, to your second question, which is plan ahead, and really make sure that you're getting the word out. So spend enough time, and I always say you need at least 2 to 3 weeks to really promote an event correctly. So give yourself that time, and then leverage everything you've got available to you, your email, your social networks.
Yeah, because most business owners, it's a hard lesson to learn, but I think it's about 10% content and 90% marketing to succeed in business. And most entrepreneurs, they're passionate about what they do. They're good at what they do. That's usually how they start. They're like a masterful technician, a masterful doer of whatever it is. And they just want to do, right? I mean, it's like, hey, buddy, somebody's got to promote it. And that's the big roadblock, and
so true. So, to that, I would say, especially if you're going to do more than one, which most people are, if they've made this a pillar of their marketing plan throughout the year, put together a checklist. Know what you need to do every single time you put one of these on. Where are you going to put it? How are you going to promote it? What emails are you going to send out? Where are you going to post it on social media? How many times are you going to post it to social media? So make sure you've got all of that spelled out, so it's not a hit or miss strategy, kind of like what you're talking about.
Do you have a great sales success story you can share? Somebody that just really killed it on social media and it just made a big difference?
Oh gosh, yeah, I have so many. I'll go back to real estate just because I've been so closely tied to that industry. I have a couple of people that have just, through coaching and our strategic meetings and really working to build up their social profiles. I have one client who started with almost literally nothing. So no Facebook, no Twitter, no presence, and very hit or miss, what they had done. And when they came to me, it was, well, I don't even know that it's worth it for me to do anything. And through that, she has grown her business. She's opened 3 more additional branches of her location. She's now had her corporate office, who she's kind of under the umbrella of, come to her, and she has taken on a lead role in running one of their big initiatives. And she's now managing that on a national level, and it's all because of her work through Facebook and through Twitter were really her big pushes. And, her heart and her passion are in helping people, and that shines through in everything that she does. So not only did it raise awareness and visibility, but it allowed her to grow her business. So she went from just running her one branch, her one location, to now managing 4. I believe she's got a 5th one coming on board this year. And then also managing this initiative, like I said, from a corporate level. So it put her in front of all of the right people, not just those consumers, but also at a corporate level, people really stood up and took notice of all that she had been able to do. And all of that was through a content marketing strategy. So she's a writer at heart, again, goes back to that, but you don't have to be. For everybody, it's a little bit different. For her, it was based off of writing unique content and then taking that and, putting it out on Twitter, putting it on Facebook, creating business pages and communities that were very specific and targeted to the people she was looking to connect with. So there's so many success stories out there that unfortunately you don't hear a lot about, but hers is on a local level that just blew up her business overnight.
What kind of time frame was that?
And I was just going to joke that it felt like it was overnight. There is obviously no such thing as an overnight success. We all know that. It takes a lot of hard work, and it realistically took a good 6 to 7 months for her to really feel the benefits and gain traction off of everything that she was doing. But boy, once it all started clicking, and one piece would fall into place within 30 days and then another in 60 days. She had an awfully large social media and marketing strategy that we were implementing. So she, hers might be a little bit different. But I think that really goes back to, this is just like any other marketing campaign you're going to do. You are not going to see overnight success. You really got to put a plan in place that makes it sustainable So not only ensuring that you've got the right people in place that are going to execute, whether that's creating content, whether that's actually posting, interacting, whatever that might look like, but knowing your timetable, knowing how long it's going to take to get the results, see the results that you're looking for. And again, her desired outcome was pretty substantial. But she started to see results in as little as 2 weeks. But those are, I think those are all baby steps. So I don't want to give the wrong impression that overnight you're going to end up with 100 new leads and all of a sudden have people, knocking down your door. It's just not realistic 9 out of 10 times, unless you have a whole lot of money, to throw at it, which most people don't. And she didn't either. So it just took a lot of content creation, a lot of talking, a lot of listening, a lot of interacting, and a lot of getting out there on a daily basis, just putting yourself out there, and talking to the right people.
So in the beginning, did she hire you to create all of these entities? I mean, were you jumping in hands-on from the very beginning, or were you coaching her and she was doing it, or did she hire an assistant that you helped coach?
Yeah, well, and it was a little bit of both. She already had some things started, like I said, but not really doing anything with them. They'd been sitting there. She's somebody who every shiny object that comes at her, she jumps at. And so she had, started to set stuff up, kind of halfway gotten into it, and then dropped it for the next shiny object. And so my job was to come in and identify what she had, what social media properties had she set up. She had just a ton of different websites and blogs. And then to pull it all together and put together a content calendar for her, put together an entire social media strategy for the year. So mapping out where she was going to post, what she was going to post, figuring out what her content was going to look like on a monthly, a weekly, a daily basis, and then working with her and her team on who was going to execute upon that. And for the most part, it was my team working to educate her team on how they could best support that vision. So how could they come in and be a part of what we were doing on Twitter or Facebook, or over on the blogs, or, on the website, whatever that looked like, and really getting them interactive on, if they were out in the community, taking pictures and getting that back to us. So really getting their buy-in, their feedback, and making them feel like they were a big part of it. So working with them on education, working with them on, like I said, how they could best support everything that was going on. So it was really a three-pronged approach. It was the discovery piece, so identifying what she had going on, what her competition was doing, what the opportunity was within her area. And then secondly was the implementation, so what social networks she didn't have, getting those all set up, optimized for search, making sure everything was consistent, getting her branding consistent, so helping her with all of that. And then the third piece was the training piece. So once it's all set up, once it's all ready to go, once we've got content up there and out there, then helping everybody on the team understand, okay, now how can you help us get the word out? How can you support everything that's going on? Because that we see is usually a huge stumbling block where, owners or managers are saying to their staff, hey guys, we're out on Facebook now. We just launched a page, and everybody's looking at them like, okay, that's great, but what does that mean to me? So just helping them understand how they can share that content, how they can jump in and like or comment on that content on a daily basis, how they can use their own personal profiles like Twitter to tweet that content out and send people back over to their Facebook page. So a lot of education, a lot of training would be that third prong.
Yeah, 'cause that brings up a good point on what do you tell employees to do? I mean, it kills me when I walk in to the auto repair shop, or I just got a new car, and the girl sitting at the front desk. We went to two dealerships, and they had a young girl sitting at both in the front. And hey, how you doing? Oh, I'm good. And can I help you? I'm with somebody. Okay, fine. And I sat there and watched, and they just sit there. I mean, reading a magazine. I was at an auto repair shop. That's what prompted me to go get another car because I was tired of fixing mine. And the girls twittering away, or not even twittering. It'd be fine if she was twittering. She's, literally just, I don't know what. Not helping the business, because there's so much, if you have a staff of 5 or 10, that seems like a small little army that can be tweeting on your behalf, plus wanting, joining communities, communicating, oh, by the way, if you're an auto repair shop, join the car communities. Oh, by the way, brakes are on sale here, or, we got a, $20 oil change, come in for your first time. And I don't see that happening, though.
No, and there's an enormous disconnect. Like I said at the beginning, having worked at that brand level and really trying to get the rest of the employees' buy-in was so hard, because you would think that those are your best advocates, to turn staff or employees into brand ambassadors or ambassadors of your business is just free marketing, basically, word of mouth marketing. But most, I have found, are barely using social media on their own on a personal level. So helping them, just telling them to get involved with supporting your page, they're not going to get it. You've really got to water it down to the basics for them. Like, okay, on a daily basis, we're going to be posting to Facebook. It's going to be a picture or a link, and here's what we want you to do. We want you to like it. We want you to comment so it shows up in your news feed, so your friends see that you're interacting with the page. And I'm talking about Facebook, of course. But the algorithm is very similar.
It works the same in Google Plus. Right?
Sure it does. Exactly. So very similar. So I think it comes down to, don't ever assume that people are using these social networks personally and have a deep understanding. You've really got to take it down to the basics and help them understand what is the best way to support your company. What is the best way that they can hop on social media for 5-10 minutes a day and really help spread the word. So take the time to educate them, take the time to help them understand, how they can be that main source of support for you.
Yeah, and it's amazing, the business owners I deal with talking about things like this, how they let the inmates run the asylum. And I'm like, dude, you got to put your foot down and have these people doing this for you. And everyone's on social media anyway, so it's not like you have to lead that horse to water. Right? They're already in the water. They're bathing in the water. They're in over their heads in the water. Just getting to shift their focus a little bit, and it can be huge. So what's like some parting words of wisdom you can give our listeners on leveraging social media or Google Plus specifically to grow, let's say, in the next 30 days?
Mm-hmm. Well, in regards to Google Plus, if you're not on there now, I would just encourage you to set up a profile, which you probably already have. If you have a Gmail, you've already got a Google Plus profile. Get in there and utilize all of the space you have available to you on your about or your bio. Put in every detail you can think of that is relevant to your target market, that will really help them make an educated decision about you and your business. A lot of times it's just as easy to hop over to LinkedIn if you've done a good job on your profile over there, just take that, copy and paste, take all of that information about your skills, about, what you do best, who you work with, how people can connect with you, tie in all of your other social networks, make sure you've got links on there to all of your other websites. So really build that out before you dive into Google+. And if you're already on there, I would really encourage you to get into your About section and put as much information in there as you possibly can, because that is more than likely, just like the About page on your website, the first place people are going to land. They want to learn more about you. They're going to click on that About. And if they can't find anything about you, they can't find other ways to connect with you, they're probably going to bounce off and never come back, or worse yet, bounce over to your competition. So give them a reason to want to get to know you more. Give them a reason to stick around. And secondly, I would just really encourage you to put a plan in place to stay consistent with social media. So wherever you feel like you're getting the biggest bang for your buck, or, just the most amount of interaction, traffic to your website or blog, whatever it is you're trying to achieve, stick with that and put a plan in place that helps you be consistent on Facebook, on Twitter, on Google+. So, if it's 10 minutes a day, if it's 15 minutes in the morning, if it's 15 minutes in the evening, whenever you feel you can commit, put that into your calendar like any other appointment, and make sure you stick with it on a daily basis. Because as we said before, if you're not consistent, you're not top of mind, and people will quickly forget about you. And that is the beauty in social media, is that you do have that opportunity every single day to stay relevant within your industry.
And this is what you do, though, right? So people can reach you at RebekahRadice.com, right?
Exactly.
And it's REBEKAH RADICE. And this will be in the show notes, session 36. So for those of you listening, just head on over to thesaleswhisper.com/session 36. And you can see Rebekah's website, follow her on Twitter, give a shout out. And with that, I thank you for your time, Miss Rebekah, my SoCal social media fellow citizen.
Yes, no, thank you so much. I could talk about this all day long, and it's always just a total pleasure to speak with you, Wes. So I really appreciate you inviting me on.
Hey, my pleasure. Now let's go enjoy some Reese's candy bars.
Let's do it.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
So how you like them apples? I like what she said about don't create a community too soon on Google+. Listen and interact first, right? I think she said, before that was search, then identify, then connect. Google+ communities are great for curating information and adding your own spin on that information to sharpen your writing skills, which is a biggie I've always talked about. You've got to create good content. Content is still king. Relevant content is, the king's king. So make sure you're putting out stuff people want to hear and discuss and learn about. Okay, and Google Plus is a great way to do it. A few other things she mentioned, use hashtags so people can find your information. Use lots of pictures because we are a very visual species, and that it shows up very nicely, like I said, on the Google Plus iPhone app. At least that's one I use, and I'm sure it's the same as on Android. So social media is here to stay. You got to figure out how to make that work. A book that I just finished over Christmas was Gary Vaynerchuk's Jab, 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 Right Hook. If you want to listen to that for free, check out wesaudiobook.com, and your first download is free. And as I mentioned at the top of the show, my book is done. Visit 79stories.info, and you can get a free sample. 14 of the 79 stories I give away. It'll take you to my Customer Hub membership site. The file's like 7.9 meg, so I didn't want to just email it. So you'll get that login info, and that sample is yours. But it's only $14.95. Just buy the book. Come on. But hey, as always, thank you for listening. Please visit my website. Leave a comment about the blog. Visit iTunes. Leave a comment about the podcast. That'll help me spread the word. The more visitors and whatnot that I get, the more money I make, honestly. But I'll make it passively, which gives me more time to create more free content. So that's the circle of giving life. Thanks for listening. Remember to sell different.